Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Dawson. Welcome to Leader Talk. This show is proudly brought to you by Brainiact. Each week we are meeting with incredible leaders from around the world to discuss all things leadership and business insights. Each person coming on this talk show has given up their valuable time for one very clear purpose: to give back to small and medium business owners. We all want leads, right? But why is it that some businesses make getting leads look so easy, and yet for others, it's a waiting game? Today, Gus, Arianto, and I are fortunate to chat to our guest, Charlotte Lloyd, CEO and founder at Charlotte Lloyd Sales Consulting. Charlotte is a sales extraordinaire who has successfully built a $2.5 million pipeline through just an irresistible offer and strategic prospecting. And Charlotte is here today to share her secrets on how we can all generate leads for our business and craft compelling content that engages potential clients and leads to conversions. Welcome to the show, Charlotte.
Thanks for having me, Natalie. It's great to be here.
Thank you for your time, Charlotte, donating your time for our audience. Fantastic.
Thank you.
We are so excited to learn from you. But before we deep dive into those questions, we've got our two fun questions that we ask. We always ask our guests two fun questions. And yours are, what's your favorite way to celebrate a big win or an achievement?
For me, to celebrate a big win or achievement, it's probably, go for a run. I'm not a drinker or anything. So going out and having a champagne, that's probably what most people would do. I just do something that I love, which is exercise and running. So a bit of a different answer that probably people weren't expecting to hear that.
Brilliant answer. Brilliant. And what about, we've got to ask you this, with all the cold calling you've done in the past, what is the funniest or most memorable response you've ever received from a prospect during a cold call?
Oh, I think there's several. One of the funniest was the guy I was talking to actually knew me from LinkedIn. So he's like, "Oh, you're Charlotte Lloyd." I'm like, "Charlotte Lloyd?" And he said, "Yeah, I see your posts on LinkedIn all the time." And that was just like, all the effort that I put into personal branding, creating content. And this was a couple of years ago. It was just, you know who I am already. So this is no longer a cold call. It's a warm call. So that was definitely one of the most memorable. I don't know about funny. I have had, I've made people laugh. I've made VPs of sales laugh, especially because, using a permission-based opener. So saying something like, "Hi, I know you're not expecting my call this morning. Mind if I take a few moments to tell you why I'm calling? And you can decide if you want to continue or if you want to hang up on me." And usually that would get a laugh from people that I'm talking to, particularly VPs of sales, because obviously they get it.
I like it. So it's that starting with you can hang up on me if you want. I love it because I actually feel sorry for them, which is why I'm interested to have all these conversations. I'm a culprit of it. I get a cold call during dinner time. And it's like, and they don't want to get off, and it's like, I feel so bad, but I've got to go. So, timing is essence as well there.
Yes, absolutely. And, cold calls, nobody wants a cold call. Nobody wants a cold call. Very few people want a cold call. And this is one of the things that I would put into my content when I was training sales teams, is that psychology, that mindset, you need to go in with that straight away, because if you know that people don't want a cold call, you're already setting yourself up for rejection. You're already setting yourself up for the no. So you're expecting it. So it becomes a little bit less tense in that moment.
Charlotte, it's funny when we talk about cold calls, because, when I just, when I hear how you describe cold calls, I can sense that your energy about, cold calls is not like an enemy. You're not making yourself hating the word cold calls. When I speak to Natalie's husband, Jared, when he's talking about cold calling, it's like cold call is my best friends. But I can also see people that, the word cold calls is like COVID, it's like virus. It's like something scary. How do we get into that rhythm where we can actually engage, love, be friends with cold calls, in your opinion? How can we?
there's several things that people can do. And if business owners are wanting to pick up the phone, I highly recommend it, because people are getting a lot of bad DMs on LinkedIn. They're getting bad emails. Emails are going to spam with the new rules. So the only other channel that you have is the phone. And especially the younger generations, the younger millennials, the Gen Zs, they never take phone calls. So part of their philosophy is, oh, I don't need to pick up the phone because nobody's going to answer it. I can send a text, a WhatsApp. People do pick up the phone, and if they don't, they listen to their voicemail. So you should be using the phone. It's not gone out of fashion. It's not like the fax machine, right? The fax machine is gone. Who sends a fax? So one of the things to remember when you're cold calling is, first do this. Do the hard thing first. Eat the frog. You've probably heard of this expression, but eat the frog first thing in the morning. Time block 45 minutes to 1 hour to call. Maybe you're going to call 25 companies, or maybe you're going to call more, but you're doing it all in that time block, switching off everything else on your phone, computer, and just dedicating yourself to doing the calls. Then you'll feel much better when you've done that 1 hour of cold calling. Then you can carry on with the rest of your day. Maybe you're sending emails, doing other kind of outreach on different channels, and then block another hour in the afternoon. I promise you, the listeners here, that when you do that, you're going to feel so much better about cold calling. So do the hard thing first. And the second thing is what I touched on before. Remember that nobody wants a cold call. Nobody wants to be sold to. Nobody wants to buy anything on a cold call. Your objective on that cold call is to book a meeting to find out if potentially there's a problem or a priority that your solution or service solves for, and then book a meeting. So you're not selling anything on that cold call. All you're doing is selling the meeting. And think of it as if it's you're calling a friend, you're shining a light on something, a problem or a priority that they might have. And then it just feels a lot better. Stand up while you're doing it as well, because you get more energy when you stand up. I deliver a lot of my presentations now standing up. I do a lot of my Zoom calls standing up, like I'm sitting down now, because this is a podcast, but standing up, you get way more energy. So you just feel like you're in flow. So I highly recommend that. And yeah, that's it. So 3 things there.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually feel like doing a cold call. Like, when you say it, like, it is. We're just booking a meeting, Gus, so we can do this. Like, you make it sound, you're right. You're not pushing a $1,000 service on someone or anything. It's just a free meeting. So what's the worst they can say? No, or hang up.
Yeah.
But I guess I agree with Charlotte.
Saying no to you personally, they're saying no to your service. So there's a big difference here. Some people might say no in a not very nice way, but you've got to deal with it. If you're already running a business, you're an entrepreneur, you're already dealing with a level of rejection. So this is like the next step. If you can master rejection on a cold call, you can master rejection anywhere, because there's the feeling of a cold call, that unpleasant no, get me off the phone. You're not going to get that anywhere else. So lean into it as an opportunity. You're going to get hit with objections. It's a great way to learn how to deal with objections when you're on a cold call. Like, I recommend that everybody at least tries it. I know there's some people that won't. People in my program, they're solopreneurs, they're founders, they're coaches, consultants. Some of them will do it, but some of them won't. So I never oblige it on anybody. But I do feel that if you can't get somebody's attention, let's say you're targeting traditional companies, corporates, you're not targeting SaaS or startups, right? SaaS and startups tend to be on LinkedIn. They tend to be visible. They tend to post. It's easier to reach them on LinkedIn. With a lot of older execs, like 40, 45 plus, they're not using LinkedIn in the same way that some of the younger execs are. So it's really, and they like to, there's actually research from Cognizant, something like 60% plus of execs, C-levels, like to get a cold call. So that's really one thing to bear in mind. If you're not, and actually it was, I was speaking with a lady from Australia who runs a cleaning business. She was really struggling to get people on LinkedIn. So one of the things that I suggested was, have you thought about picking up the phone? If they're not coming to you on LinkedIn, perhaps the people that you're wanting to reach, these ideal clients, they'd respond much better to a phone call.
Brilliant.
And what's interesting listening just initially from you, Charlotte, when you said the funny moment is when you rang someone and he said that, oh, I know you from LinkedIn. So obviously the leads that you search or the leads that you target is actually already worked on by any other activities that you're doing. So I think, and I'm sure we are getting there in this topic as well, where yes, there is a cold calls, but getting leads is not one dimension task. It's not only cold calls. There's LinkedIn, there is social media, there is email, there is, I don't know, maybe before social media, there's letters, there is brochures, there's a lot of things than just the cold call itself to back you up, isn't it?
Yeah. And the good thing is if you've already contacted that person on LinkedIn or email, there's a good chance that when you cold call, they already know of you. They've got the email. You would have seen if they'd opened the email. If you're tracking your email open rate, you would have seen, well, LinkedIn, you don't know if they've actually read your DM, but there's a good chance that there's familiarity there already. So a good idea is to send that email, send that LinkedIn DM, connect with them before you cold call. So, if they've accepted, they're going to know your name. They're going to know more or less who you are.
Charlotte, you run your own business as well. And many businesses said, oh, yeah, but I'm busy. I cannot run my business and just do cold calls. I have to do any other. In reality, what's the percentage of your work involve this cold calls or what we call generating leads, whether it's cold calls, whether it's LinkedIn, whatever it is it 90% of your job doing this? Or it's actually, no, if you block a couple of hours in the morning, a couple of hours in the afternoon, and the rest you actually doing your stuff, you're actually doing a lot more than you think.
Yeah.
What?
I say that you only need to, unless some people want to scale their outreach, which is fine. But for what I'm doing where I am, I reach out to 5 to 10 people, new people a day. And usually with LinkedIn, it's people who are warm, shown intent. They viewed my profile, engaged with my content, connected to me, followed me. I work with those ones first. The second ones are the colder ones. So maybe they're attending an event about lead generation or about LinkedIn. I would approach them cold, or they might have viewed, a client's profile and similar profiles come up. So I would contact those people as well because they potentially could benefit from my services. I spend around 60 minutes in the morning doing this. So doing my outreach, tracking what I'm doing, which is, I think a lot of small business owners don't do this. And it becomes very hard to know what's working and what's not. Especially when things are going well, people think, well, things are going well, so I don't need to track it. Yes, you do. And they think that tools will be the savior. First, you've got to master the process, the system, doing the activity, 1 hour a day, tracking what you're doing. And then once you've got the hang of that and you're in the swing of it, you can think about using tools. Because I always say that, if I give you Michelangelo's paintbrush, you're not going to be able to paint the Sistine Chapel straight away. Not like him. So master the basics first, use the spreadsheets or whatever, because they're free. And then you can decide to, okay, I'm going to use 1 or 2 tools to make this easier. Some people send 20 DMs a day on LinkedIn. That's fine, but just make sure that it's quality, right? It's quality over quantity. Sales is a numbers game. So getting new clients is a numbers game, but you want to make sure sometimes if you're sending 20 messages, are these messages, are they all the same? Are they cut and paste? Because that's another problem. There's going to be no personalization and there might be relevancy, but you've got to earn the right to a response. So whenever you're sending that message or that email, you've got to think, or the cold call, you've got to think, what will earn me the right to get that person's attention and to get a response? Would you want to receive that DM or that email if you were on the receiving end? It's another question to ask before you hit send. I think too many times people are just on autopilot. So they're like, I'll just send this, see if the person replies. I got a DM last night. It looked like it was well put together, but it actually, when I read it again, it was like, oh, this could be a cut and paste. it's got my name on it, but the rest, it could be sent to somebody else. So I thought, no, that's not worthy of a reply. You've not mentioned anything specific about me. And obviously I post a lot on LinkedIn, so there's so much that you can get from my content and call out and quote. No, hadn't done that. So I think there's a lot of that. I'll just send this on autopilot. I'll throw mud at the wall, almost like spray and pray, and I'll see what sticks. So if I send 20 of these a day, maybe 1 or 2 are going to come back, and that's, you know, I'm then going to have a call. So yeah, I say less is more. Focus. If you're not doing this already, just pick 3 to 5 potential prospects, ideal clients to reach out to, and do that 5 times a week. And then once you're comfortable with 3 to 5, then you can upscale to 10. You might want to do 15 in one day and 5 the next, but just make sure that you're tracking what you're doing and you're enjoying what you're doing, because so many people don't enjoy this. And I think in person, when you're in person, it's much easier for some, for not people who are introverted and don't like small talk and networking and find it hard, but it's so much quicker to build relationships online. If you are talking in the DMs, you book a meeting, you're on a Zoom, when you actually do meet those ideal clients, they become clients in person, it's so much more impactful because you've built that relationship through your content. If you're creating content as well, because that's a really important thing. You can't just do LinkedIn and not create content, because people are not going to be bought into you. Then it's more of a hard sell. Funny enough, I had an exec approach me a month ago, and he said, yeah, I just want to do all sales outreach, just sales outreach. Okay. But I don't want to create content. I don't want to put anything out there about my new company. And I said, well, you know, this is going to be very hard to do, because your LinkedIn profile is saying one thing, but in the DMs, we're going to be saying another thing. So I refuse to work with them, because not creating content and getting under the skin of why do you not want to create content? Some people, you know, a minority of people don't want to do it, but it's so important, because if our profile is aligned to what we do, and so who we help, what are the pain points we solve, that's the first thing that people see. Then they see your content. And then when you're in the DMs having a conversation, if they already know you, if they're already engaging with your content, the conversation will flow much better. If you're not doing anything on LinkedIn, if you're not posting, and it's just, your profile is very boring, people aren't going to really be receptive to that when you're in the DMs. So it's really one thing and a lot of sales reps, you know, they say, I'm a sales rep, I'm an SDR, I'm an AE at whatever company. That's great. That can go in the headline, but it's not the first thing that I want to see if I'm your ideal client, because it just tells me that you're a sales rep and you're probably going to sell to me. I want to see how you help me. So how does your solution or service help me? And exactly what problems is it going to solve for me? So what's the pain point, outcome? So I help X do Y without pain point. I help solopreneurs and founders get more clients with sales and content strategies. So that's very clear. It's very clear. And when I'm commenting on other people's posts, you also see that first line of your headline. You don't see the whole headline, but you see the very first line. And that's important, because if it says CEO of, I don't know, whatever company, it tells me you're the CEO. It's your title. It doesn't tell me exactly what your business does, like how it helps somebody like me. So that's another win. People tend to not think about these things. They're really important, really important. People think, it's not the be all and end all. I just want to put my title up there. You can, but put it at the end. So people know when you're engaging with them, what it is that you do, how you can help them. And I promise that way, that's the first thing to fix. You're going to attract more of your ideal clients, and you're going to repel the ones that you can't serve. And I've been there, done that, got the ticket with this. So I'm speaking from experience as well.
And it's interesting, Charlotte, because when I did look you up, exactly that, you know, I was looking at what your title was, and surely enough, I went to your LinkedIn, but no, the line was helping solopreneurs. Now, I don't remember the rest, but it was about with sales.
Yeah.
And there was no title there. I had to go to your website to, find all that. So that's what we're talking about. It's not so much saying you're CEO of Charlotte Lloyd Sales Consulting.
Yeah, nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that. I mean, you care about that, right? It's like, oh, I'm the CEO, whatever. But your ideal client doesn't care about it. So you're just creating more of a, so what it is, you don't want these conversations in the DMs where the ideal clients go, so what is it that you do? How can you help me? That should already be clear.
Love it. Love it. And Charlotte, I want to touch on your sales journey because,
yes.
We talk about, yes, you've generated a pipeline of $2.5 million, which congratulations is amazing. But you've had an incredible sales journey. It wasn't like that from the start. Can you share with our audience just, what that journey was, your career, because that itself is, amazing. And there were so many lessons learned there.
Yeah, lots of lessons. So I consciously went into sales at 22 years old. I studied languages, French and Portuguese, of all things, at university. I was going to do law. I turned that down, decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. So it was that, from the get-go, I thought I want to do something where I can potentially earn money uncapped. I'm a very motivated person. I'm also very competitive, competing against myself. And I consciously chose to go into sales. And 9 out of 10 people don't do that. They usually fall into sales after they've been in something else. And the great thing about sales is you don't need a degree or any kind of qualification to do it. It's learnable. So to all the business owners listening to this, you can absolutely sell. It's learnable. It's a skill that you can acquire, and you should be acquiring, like managing your finances as well, right? These are things that we're not taught sales at school. We're not taught sales at university. We're not taught about finance at school. We should be taught these things. So yeah, I went in because I thought, I don't want to be a translator. That's so, but I actually tried translation for 6 months and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. You need to be very analytical, very detail oriented, focused. And people didn't speak to each other in the office back then. And I thought, this isn't what I want to do. This is not fun. And it didn't pay a lot of money either. So, how do you manage with that? And then I started off in telesales. So I picked up the phone for 2 years and then sent emails. There was no multi-channel outreach. It was just, here are 200 people to call, prospects, make these calls every day. And, then send out the proposal, get the contract signed. The contract would come back on fax. Then it eventually would start to come back on email. So this is like the early 2000s. And I moved then from telesales. I thought, right, I want to do field sales, which was face-to-face. So got into advertising, selling advertising, and started to travel to some amazing countries. Joined a big brand, Financial Times, sold advertising. So that was like, wow, this is like one of my dream jobs. Got, had an office overlooking the River Thames in London. Traveled twice a month. So they had me, I joined in February 2007. They had me in Mexico a month later. I spoke like no Spanish at all. And then, I already had to generate, so I was generating sales from these business trips. And the phone at Financial Times used to ring. So I would do my outbound. I would get into the office. I was there by like 7:30 a.m. I was calling Europe, but the phone in the morning would ring, and in the afternoon. So I would get people calling and prospects saying, hey, I want to book an ad. Can you give me a quarter page? And that feeling of, you're almost like an order taker. You don't really learn anything when people are coming and calling you and wanting to work with you. But I still did my outbound, and I obviously was doing a lot of in-person meetings, networking, getting into conversations with people. I was very good at that, starting conversations with people that I didn't know. And I was in a managerial role. Then I moved out to Madrid. So I was in London, became like a contractor, worked with a portfolio of companies, opened my own company. So I was serving several different clients, helping them with lead gen. And then 2020 came. Nobody could travel. Everything stopped. And all of a sudden, a few of us moved into this new company, which was more, we went from selling sort of SMB size deals to enterprise marketing technology, ABM solutions. And we had to really develop relationships with clients online. It was using LinkedIn. So I decided to create content on LinkedIn around 2021. I thought I've got to get into that zone of enterprise selling, six-figure deals, a lot more six-figure deals. I had a great run at Financial Times. So I started to share content. I thought, why not share content on sales? Because I've got 20 years experience, or back then it was 18. And I thought, I want to give something back. So I started posting conversations on LinkedIn. I just had a demo with this person, and here's what I did, and here's why it worked. And then this started to snowball. It started to snowball. People would contact me. They would be like, oh, I love your content. You know, I just used it in my sales training, or with my team this morning. We talked about, you know, some of the things that you put out there. I've told my team to follow you. And it just went like that. So that was this kind of momentum. And I had no idea where this was going to go until 2 years ago. I then opened my business as a side hustle while I was still in corporate, not telling anybody. I worked at a company that was pretty terrible, the last company I was in. And there was the one good thing, though, that they did, or that they didn't do, is they didn't say to me, you can't have a personal brand. You can't talk about sales, because what I was selling was a marketing solution. So if the company could have said to me, you need to be talking about our service, you need to be talking about marketing. But I thought, I don't really know enough about marketing. I know a lot about sales. But I would get marketers, I would get on calls with ideal clients, and they would already know who I was. So like that cold call. But there'd be other few people going, oh, I saw your post the other day, and it was really, really good. And I was thinking, but you're a marketer. It's like, yeah, but I also need to know about sales. And this person, or these people, there were several, because every time I got on a call, there'd be people talking about, oh, I see you on LinkedIn all the time, and you're posting this great stuff. But they never like, comment, or engage. So I would think, hey, that's weird. That's weird that they don't like or comment. But this is the impact that you have with people that lurk, right? There's people that are going to lurk that will never, ever, that they'll be there for a while, and suddenly one day they'll come forward. They'll either want to work with you, or they'll just be like, this is, you know, I've been following for so long, and, you know, you really have helped me with your content. So you just don't know. If you don't post, you don't know. But this is the impact of being seen, reaching people, ideal clients that you potentially can't reach if you have to travel to different places. It's just so difficult to do that. Why not do it on LinkedIn? So last year, it was just before the summer, I got this inbound inquiry. Hi, Charlotte, we're looking for sales training for the team. What do you offer? And this was a company in Dubai. And I got on a call, and fast forward 3 calls later, I was on a plane to Dubai training this team in person and also online. And I went out there 4 times last year. And then it was a pretty big affair, big thing. I then left corporate and then went for all in on my business. So this would not have happened had I not created content on LinkedIn.
Absolutely incredible. And see this content that we're talking about, Charlotte, I just want those that haven't seen, I follow you, so I know how extraordinary your content is. We're not just talking about you seeing something, reposting it and saying, hey, this looks great, so I'm sharing it to my followers. We're talking about raw, authentic stories about yourself, your experiences, and you always finish with a photo of yourself. It's not a stock
only
image.
recently. I use this is one of the things. Stories are great, right? People love personal stories, but especially if you've been through some kind of struggle, but then you've come out the other side. So if you're going to share a personal story, share the transformation. Don't make yourself look too vulnerable in that moment, because ultimately you need to be the prize for your ideal clients. They need to see you in that, this is my hero. So was one thing to mention there, because I do see a lot of posts on LinkedIn. People are very, very vulnerable, and there's a time and a place, I think, to do that. So wait until you have got through any kind of struggle. If you're going to share a story about a struggle, yes, I'm sharing more photos because I'm targeting B2C rather than B2B. And right now I say always write for your audience, but keep the algorithm in mind. So when I grew my LinkedIn, I was posting 3 to 5 carousels a week. And carousels you can still do. They take a lot longer to put together.
Yeah.
But I always change and adapt to some of the trends that we see on LinkedIn. So video, for example, now video is getting a lot more traction. It used to be you post a video on LinkedIn, it would bomb. Now people are, LinkedIn's promoting it more. But what I want to say to people is don't worry about engagement, because engagement, the more impressions you get, the less clients you're going to get. Generally speaking, this is the rule of thumb. I'm now getting more clients with 70% less impressions than what I got last year. And I'm being very deliberate with this focus because I'm posting a lot of content that's more bottom of the funnel. So it's lead generating posts rather than growth posts. So top of the funnel content, middle of the funnel content. I've already positioned myself as the expert now. So I'm less about the level that I'm at now with LinkedIn. I'm less about that and more about driving clients. So I want to drive ideal clients through my content. And yeah, so again, we could go down a rabbit hole about this. People who've got less followers, people think that getting more followers will mean more clients. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't, but it's really not the priority. You can be getting a really good conversion rate with 5,000 followers or less. So if you want to build authority and build thought leadership, build your brand, yes, you might want to fuse in some different types of growth posts, which will help you grow. But when you get posts that are very popular, go viral, they do very well, what happens is that pushes it out to more and more people. And it pushes it out to a lot of people who wouldn't be your ideal clients. So it's very, very important to bear that in mind. Some people might know this and think, oh, she's just going on about this again. But it's really, really important, because getting 500 connection requests after one post and maybe 1,000 followers, that's a lot of work. And most of those people are not going to be relevant. So I would say be very careful when you're growing. Yes, you want to send out perhaps 100 connection requests a week, but you also want to be careful if you're serving sales teams, sales leaders. Yes, you want to accept the connection requests from these kind of people if they're your ideal client. But be very careful about who you accept connection requests from as well, because this means, if you're accepting connection requests from your ideal clients, then that's your content this is going to help with your engagement as well. So it's just another thing to bear in mind. If you're accepting from people who are not your ideal clients, then it's going to be, your posts are not going to get as much engagement. So you're going to have a harder job there.
Charlotte, can I ask you something? Am I right? When I hear your energy, you are absolutely energetic. If I get a cold call from people like you or email from you, I want to engage with you because your energy just inviting. Like this, these people that already hate contacting leads, that the leads itself already hate them when they get the call, because we can feel it. But you are so inviting. So am I right to say, don't wait for leads, go get them? Don't wait for leads. Leads not coming your way. We need to get them. We need to find them. We need to search them. So that's what I get from what you're saying, so far. Now, my question is, what's the simplest and the laziest way in getting leads? So if
the laziest way, I'm not sure that's the laziest way.
Maybe not the laziest way. What's the, imagine that I want to do all that, but what's the what's the
okay? The easiest one, and one that a lot of people overlook, is ask for a referral. So if you're doing some good work, ask for a referral. That's the easiest way to get leads, and one that people overlook because They just think, oh, is this person going to refer me? And they, it's like that whole rejection thing. So that's the first thing. The second one is focus on the warm leads first. So people who've engaged with your content, viewed your profile, connected, followed. A lot of people will not step forward. They might really love you. They might really be into you. They need your services. They need your help, but they do not step forward because they're busy. They forget. They think I'll get round to it at some point. So you have to literally, one of my mentors said this, come down from your throne and go to them, because you're starting that conversation. And even if they don't buy from you right now, you're building that relationship. So having conversations is where magic happens. The magic, as they say, happens in the DMs when you have those conversations, but also when you're on the calls. And even if they do say no, you've just got feedback. So you know what to do, what to change the next time that you're on another call. It's better to be having those calls and doing that outreach than sitting there thinking, I'll just wait for my next ideal client, or no, this person was like, don't know if I'm going to get on a call with them. Yeah, you need to qualify and validate as well. But you also, you need to be getting on calls and thinking about where your next client is coming from. So every single day, when you get up, the first question you should ask yourself is, where is my next client coming from? Can I book one meeting today? Maybe it's for next week. Every day, all you need to do is book one meeting. If you're already booking one meeting, 2 to 3 meetings, that's my objective. So I start every day like that. Did I book a meeting today? Do I know where my next client's coming from? They're the 2 questions that you need to ask yourself.
And Charlotte, for those that are getting leads, so yes, they're booking, those 2 to 3 meetings, and they have to have the calls, or whether it's a Zoom meeting or however they're having their meetings, if they're not, closing these leads is another process, in the whole sales psychology. Do you have any tips for that side of sales?
So for the closing part.
Yeah, well, let's say, we're listening, and as of tomorrow, I am going to book 2 to 3 leads or meetings every single day. And after a month, I'm having these meetings, but these leads are not converting into customers. Are there simple things that you can possibly see that I could be doing wrong?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's several things here. Are they your ideal client? Because they could be the wrong fit client, first of all. If you're on a call, and that's the first thing, are you saying the right things? Are you qualifying and validating urgency in the DMs or on email before you get on the call, or even on a cold call? Are you doing that? Because some people, can be quite pushy and book a meeting for the sake of a meeting, and that's what we don't want. So they're the first 2 things. If they're saying yes, but then it could be that they're not on the discovery call, they're not ready to buy. Are you then? And again, it depends. If you're targeting B2B companies, you're not going to close them on one call. A lot of what I do now is closing people on one call, because I'm asking individuals who run their own business to either work with me one-on-one or join my program. And it's much easier. They can make that decision there and then on the spot. Usually they don't. Usually they need another call, or they need to then get back to me. But you want to be putting a follow-up in place if you feel that this person is a right fit. Even if they're not going to buy right now, it's about building that relationship. And what can you give them in between call 1 and call 2? Let's say this, if you're B2C here, if there's one decision maker, are you giving them anything to follow through with, some kind of work? Are you giving them something that they can put to the test, so that they can then come back and say, oh, what you did really helped me. It's a no-brainer now. I want to work with you. And with B2B, it's a bit different. If you've got multi-stakeholders involved in the decision, you're going to need to bring them in. You're going to have probably 2 or 3 calls. If it's a $30,000 US dollar deal, you're not going to close that on 1 or 2 calls. You might have to go to 3. So are you doing all the right things and putting in place, you're booking a meeting from a meeting? Are you then on the proposal call, if you're doing a demo or a proposal call, are you bringing in the right stakeholders? These are all questions that you need to ask yourself. Are you preparing right for these calls? It could be that you know, a lot of these people are not ready to buy right now. They might be the right client, but the first thing to think about is, are they the right fit? Am I speaking to the right person? Am I booking this meeting just for the sake of it? No, you don't want to waste your time. It's precious. You don't want to waste the other person's time either. So, and also the conversion rate, if you're booking the meetings, but you're not getting any kind of sale or progression, what are you saying on that call? That's another thing. So are you recording your calls? Are you listening back? Are you uncovering enough pain? Are you then uncovering the impact of the pain of where that person or business is right now? What's the ideal state? So the current state is the pain that they're in. How much of an incentive is there to get to the future state? Is the pain of the current state greater than the pain of change? It's another question to ask. If the pain of change is greater, then that you haven't perhaps identified a problem, or it's just that, you know, they're not in agreement. And if you've got multi-stakeholders involved in this, there could be several problems, and you need to get into agreement that this is a problem big enough to solve. What's it costing the business? Not what the ROI is, because we see, this is more for sales reps as well, we see a lot of focus on here's the ROI. It's the cost of what they're doing now that's stopping them. So how much is it costing them to stay where they are right now? And this is something that a lot of people neglect. And today it's very hard to sell bigger deals, right? Because there's a lot of, you can even do everything right and check all the boxes, and that company still might not buy. So, and there's a really good book about this called The Jolt Effect. It's buyer indecision is very high because nobody wants to take the risk of making a wrong decision. Nobody wants to be eaten by the lion, right? The zebra with the red dot gets eaten by the lion. Nobody wants to be that zebra with the red dot in their company, in their business. So people out of fit, it's FOMO, fear of messing up. Yeah. So if they're so worried that if they make this decision to work with you and, you know, with their service, with your service in B2B, more complex selling, is that really gonna make them look bad if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? What if you know, we know we have a problem here, but what if it doesn't work? What if you're not the right service provider? So you need to be able to answer these questions, because this is what's going through most execs' heads at the time of, you know, do I move forward with you or do I stay what I'm doing?
Charlotte, you said earlier that sales is something we can learn. Sales is actually something we can learn. But, you know, through my experience as well, dealing with different salespeople, there is something about a great sales people or a great sales company, a great sales culture. Well, in your opinion, you've been working for many years in different countries, and if you can look back the top 5 salespeople around you, you know, in your industry or in your experience today, what are the top 5 characteristics of these people that very stands out in your opinion?
So with these top 5 traits, I would say with sales reps that are really succeeding and going that extra mile, I think one thing is they go that extra mile. They're really personalizing their outreach. So hyper personalization is a big trend for this year. People are sick of, you know, there's AI. People don't want AI written emails. They can tell, right? We can all tell. So can you go that extra mile and personalize? The second thing is being a good listener. Being a good listener, repeating back what that person has said. So what I'm hearing is blah, 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 blah. Is that right? Leaning in, listening and being empathetic. People buy from people. So, and knowing when to turn people away and say, well, this is not, I feel that this is not the right solution for you. We just build so much trust that way. We actually reel people in because they're thinking, what? This is a salesperson saying that I'm not a right fit for them. So there's that. Listening, leaning in, being empathetic. Another thing is being a good team player. You know, salespeople can't do everything on their own. You need help from marketing. You need to liaise with other departments if you're working in a big company. You can't, gone are the days where you just do it all on your own. So the best salespeople, they lean in with the teams. They also know as well how to take time off. So they're taking time off, but they're planning their week. They're time blocking as well for activities. So time blocking for outreach, time blocking for reading emails. They're not getting distracted. We're in a world now where everybody is getting distracted. People can't reply to LinkedIn DMs. It's that bad. So time block your activities. If you're doing cold calling, if you're emailing, don't have your LinkedIn open. Don't have other tabs open. I see so many people with millions of tabs open. Close them down. Focus. And I think the fifth thing is creativity. So how can you really get to your prospect in a creative, being creative, something that's going to make them laugh? Maybe you send them some kind of gift or something funny, because so many people don't do this. They just rely on, I'll send an email, I'll cold call, I'll send something on LinkedIn. Stand out and be different. The best sales reps are standing out and being different because they actually care about what they're doing. And this is the thing, you've got to actually care about your prospect, their pain points, and how your solution is going to solve them.
Isn't it funny when you say taking, one of the traits is they know how to take time off. I just think it is absolutely right, because we don't want to get an email or a text message, someone following up our request at 5 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock at night or something like that. Like you really have to manage your time well, so you are in control of your process, because we are I agree with you, people buying from people, and we don't buy from people that have no time off.
Yeah, exactly. And
I agree with you.
Need to relax. You need to know that, and especially don't look at your social media in the evening. Keep off your phone in the evening. You'll feel so much better when you wake up in the morning. Nothing is so urgent that you need to respond straight away. So think about you don't want to be firefighting. No firefighting here. Fire prevention.
Yeah. And when you talk about taking time off, Charlotte, we're also talking about taking time off to be better versions of ourselves, right?
Yes, absolutely. And reflecting upon what's not working, being really honest with yourself. This is where journaling really helps as well, because saying it in your head is one thing, but writing it down is another. Sales is all about mindset. When you've got lots of rejection, that can be really hard to deal with. It can derail you. You start to have these self-limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough. Maybe I should do something else. And this is the evil voice in the head, which is telling us to not do what we're potentially very good at. So really be very honest with yourself. Be grateful for something, at least one thing every day. I journal weekly now, so it's easier for me to see what worked well this week, what didn't work well, what gave me energy, what drained my energy, what am I grateful for, what am I going to do, top priorities for next week. When I sit and read those and even read them out to myself, it's then becoming a reality and saying, I will do this rather than I want to. I want to, it's not strong enough. I will do something. Yes. I should. No. Because then you're putting yourself into this, I should do it, but I'm not going to do it. So how you talk to yourself is very, very important. That's really one of the things that most people don't seem to get a handle on. And if people did, they would achieve a lot more.
What do you say to people that want something? How do I ask this question? One of my mentors said to me a long time ago that if you want something the way you love someone, you will be doing everything right. You will be highly creative. You will handle the rejection. If we love someone, they reject you 20 times, you still come in front of them by different methods, and you will be your best self. Now, the problem is, and I want to ask you, what do you say to people like some of us that we want to love someone, but we don't really want to love that person? So, we are hungry, but we're not really hungry. Because when I hear everything that you said, you definitely hungry. You definitely love your business, because your creativity comes not because you are being only creative, but because you want to be more helping your audience. You want to be there. But many of the people is not like that. If maybe I'm not accurate here, but I talk to enough people that they said, yeah, I want to do that, but it sounds like exhausting. I don't have time doing content. I don't want to pick up the phone. What do you say to us that, we love someone, but we're not really enough?
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's always going to be people. It's not a priority then. It sounds like it's not a priority because we all have the same time.
Yeah.
We all have the same time in the day. And if you don't want to put in effort, then you're not going to see change. So it's like, how much do you want to see change? You've got to be very honest with yourself.
Yeah.
There's people that I train and help, and some people I know are going to go sky high because they are really committed and they want this. They don't just want this, they will do it. There's other people who won't. And I can, you can almost see that from the very beginning in terms of where their mindset is. But this is happening, so there's always something else. There's always an excuse. These people, perhaps they don't, it's something that's not a priority for them. So yes, you should be doing something. You should, like, as you say, Gustav, that love needs to be there. But, you really need to drill down to the why. Like, what's it going to mean if you're saying you're having these problems, but you're not doing much about it? So to me, it sounds like it's not really a priority. Like, is it? It's not really a priority. It's not something that you really, really need to change. And you're making that person think about, okay, is this something that I really want to change? Is it maybe I need to do something else? You have to be doing whatever it is that, if you're running your own business, then you need to be aligned with your values. What are your core values? Go back to your core values. Who's your enemy? Why are you doing this? There's a really good book. It's called Choose Your Enemies Wisely, which I'm reading now, which is great because it asks you those questions. Why do you do what you do? Who are you helping? I feel like I'm on a crusade to get people with little to zero to little to average sales skills much better so that they can get their next clients, because their service is about to change somebody's life potentially. So I'm helping people get that confidence. I'm giving people confidence, not just sales skills. It's that confidence so that they can then go on. What can they do once they've got their next clients? There's a lot of things that they can do that they didn't realize. And that to me is, I get a lot of joy seeing my clients win. That's the big win for me, is seeing them win, saying that they closed a deal, that they were able to have a conversation with a client that they couldn't engage. And then that led to something else, like to a deal. So for me, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, is seeing them win, right? That's seeing them win. And if you're feeling that you shouldn't be doing, so you're not really in love with what you're doing, there's always parts of a job, and running a business is hard. There's going to be tough moments. I've had some tough moments, and you just have to swallow it up, because if you can't take the no, if you're not going to be developing your sales skills for your business, then are you really in the right business?
No,
because some people might want to just go to a company and they feel more protected that way, and they can build a business while they're in the company. And that's what I did. And I was getting obviously a salary at that point. Everything is tied to mindset, not just sales, but the running the business is tied to mindset. So you need to ask yourself, am I in the right business? Am I really loving what I'm doing? Because I see some people who are very half-hearted, and when you get to that level, you're going to start to struggle. And when you start to struggle, that's when you want to give up. And are you investing in yourself? Coaching is great. I got to where I am because I also was open to coaching. I wouldn't have got there as fast without the coaching. And this is what people say to me when they're in my program. They feel, wow, I'm getting these skills that I didn't have, and I'm getting them faster. And that means that I can grow and go further. So, investing in your growth as well is painful, right? Spending money can be painful to a lot of people. it can bring anxiety, but you're investing in your growth. So it's not like you're spending money, you're not going to get anything back. You're actually getting something back, which is very valuable, which you can then use and apply to your business. It's not, like I say, like nothing ever has a price or a cost. If it does, it means that something's taken away and you're not getting anything back. It has an investment. So the investment is you're investing in your growth. You're going to get skills, confidence beyond what you perhaps imagine, but you've got to apply them. You've got to apply them. You can't like rock up to the gym with your personal trainer. She gives you your meal plans for 90 days. She gives you your exercises and you're like, yeah, I'll pay you at the end. Or, you know, that's like paying for gas when you've reached your destination. It's like, I'll put the gas in now, I'll pay. And then you suddenly are like, I don't want to pay. I've got to the wrong destination. Or, you know, with the personal trainer, I'm not going to pay you. I didn't get the results because you didn't put in the effort. You only half-heartedly applied that if you don't stick to what you're doing, you're not going to get results.
You know, Charlotte, your sales background it's just incredible. Your experience is incredible. I have to ask you, if you were to go back to the very, very early version of Charlotte in sales, if you could give yourself advice from Charlotte today, what would be the advice to you at the very beginning of your sales journey?
Oh, gosh. My advice would be to invest more in myself, definitely. To keep one step ahead all the time. Read books, listen to podcasts, but investing in yourself is more powerful because you really get to where you need to be faster. I would also, I mean, back then, personal branding, LinkedIn wasn't what it is today, but I would definitely say to anyone now, start creating content, video, text. Maybe you only need to really be on one platform or two, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever it is, and just create content. But don't think about, if you haven't got a business idea, that's totally fine. You don't need to have a business idea, but what's something that you could talk about unprepared, something that you really love doing? Maybe it's cycling, maybe it's running marathons. It doesn't have to be something related to your work. But when you start creating content and writing about something that you're really passionate about, for me, it was sales and it is sales, you then, it has this effect on you, which you can't really imagine where it's going to go. So get over the fear, stand out. And also, you know, no company, if you're working with a company, no company cares about you, even if it seems like they do. They care about numbers on a spreadsheet. So you could lose your role. What are you doing to future-proof yourself so that you have something that they can't take away from you?
Brilliant advice. I'm looking at the time, Charlotte. We could ask you 1,000 more questions, but I am going to ask you one question before I hand it over to Gus. For all our listeners that are listening now, how can they find out more about your services?
So, yeah, great question. You can find me on LinkedIn, Charlotte Lloyd /sales. That's the main channel. Connect with me there. I also produce videos on there. I have a YouTube channel, but LinkedIn's the best place to find me. Drop me a DM. Tell me what you liked about the episode, what the key takeaway was, and that's it.
Nice and simple. And personalize your message, everyone. No copying and pasting, isn't it?
Yes.
Like that's something.
Boring messages will not get a reply.
I get them all the time. So it's like everyone gets them. Just amazing. It's been amazing, Charlotte. Gus, I'm going to hand it over to you to wrap up the show.
Thank you. Charlotte, thank you again for your time and insights. Highly energetic, highly interesting topics. We all learn. I'm learning as well. So thank you so much for the last 1 hour. So this is some of the key messages that I really like, and I hope I do justice by repeating it again. The topic that I think I like about today is about don't wait for leads, go get them. Don't hate cold calls. Don't hate cold calls. Objective of cold call is not to sell, but to look for a meeting. When you send a message, making calls, you need to earn the right for a response. Less is more. Focus on the right target or leads and work on quality. Sales is a skill that learnable. We can learn sales. If we invest in understanding the sales process, then we can learn it. The easiest way to get leads is ask for referrals and focus on warm leads first. The magic of sales happen when conversation happen. Leads not mean they leads not mean they are well qualified and ideal client. So if you get leads, that not meant that it's the right lead. So you need to start working before you get the leads to make sure that everything you target are the right ideal clients. Hence, your strategy in getting ideal clients that fit into your business is key from the get-go. The key traits of great sales people are high personalization, being a good listener, being a good team player. They know how to take time off, and they are highly creative. Remember, people buy from people. So invest in yourself and being great so people can find you, create the content, and win. Thank you, Charlotte, for today's episode.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. It's been wonderful. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. For more information on Leader Talk and for some great resources to help your business grow, check out brainiac.com.au. Bye, everyone.